I don't have a timeline for you.
Okay, and then on the healthcare, the issue of the employer mandate being delayed a year, under what authority did the White House decide to implement that law a year later than the law itself calls for? I mean,
Well,
a law passed
John,
by Congress.
there are experts aplenty who can provide the specifics for you on this, both inside and outside of government.
Democratic chairman of the
I highly recommend picking up
authority.
any issue of the Federal Register and finding in it examples of rules and waivers and that sort of thing. This is not an unusual process, and this reflects an effort. The hue and cry, the calamitous hollering that you hear is reflective of a political and partisan effort to undermine.
Tom Harkin, are you saying that he's?
No, you're not talking about Tom Harkin. You're talking about the Republican effort.
Harkin said you had no authority to do this.
To complain about the listening to business to postpone a deadline that affects 4% of businesses with 50 or more employees, when they've done everything they can to undermine the law from day one. They don't want to see it implemented. They've made that clear. So we're being John. You can pretend this is about Tom Harkin, but it's not. And the fact is, we have demonstrated since the passage of the Affordable Care Act that we will make improvements where those improvements make sense. We will be flexible in its implementation where being flexible makes sense. I mean, everybody recently, to their credit, who's written about this has noted the comparison here to the passage of Medicare Part D, which was an initiative, a top priority of President George W. Bush when it came to domestic policy. And it passed, and a lot of Democrats opposed it, but it passed. And Democrats did not, once it passed, engaged in efforts to undermine it every step of the way. Instead, once it became law, engaged in an effort to make sure that the American people, the people they represented, enjoyed the benefits of the law. And I expect that most constituents who potentially would get insurance for the first time in their lives, or the first time in a long time, if they are made aware of the possibility of enrolling in these marketplaces, would expect that their representatives, their senators, whether they're Democratic or Republican, would help them in that process rather than doing everything they can to prevent their constituents from enjoying the benefits of the Affordable Care Act.
What do you say to the Republicans that say on the issue of immigration that if the White House can simply decide to delay implementation of certain aspects of bills that pass, that delay implementation of the border security?
People who suggest that there's anything unusual about the delaying of a deadline in the implementation of a complex and comprehensive law are deliberately sticking their heads in the sand or just willfully ignorant about past precedent. It's just not. It's not serious. And we are going about the business of implementing this law, and we're going about the business of implementing it in a way that maximizes the benefits available to the American people, that minimizes the difficulties in the implementation process for business as well as individuals, and we're going to keep at it. Yeah.
You reeled off earlier in this lengthy briefing a long list